Have you ever stopped and really wondered what's in the food you're eating? I mean, beyond just the ingredients list. It's this incredible mix of nutrients that literally fuels your body, plus some clever additives that shape how our food tastes, looks, and lasts. So in this explainer, we're going to decode the science that's sitting right there on your plate.
So, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the big picture, looking at the two main kinds of nutrients. Then, we'll zoom right in on the heavy lifters, the macronutrients, and their essential little helpers, the micronutrients. After that, we'll see how our bodies actually use all this stuff. And to wrap it up, we'll pull back the curtain on the science of food additives. Okay, first things first. Let's get the fundamentals down. Every nutrient out there fits into one of two main categories. And honestly, getting this one difference is the key to understanding, well, pretty much any nutrition label you'll ever see. So what's the big deal here? It really just comes down to quantity. Think of micronutrients as the big stuff your body needs a lot of. We measure these in grams. They're your fuel and your building materials. Now, micronutrients, you only need them in tiny amounts, like milligrams or even smaller. But don't let their size fool you. They are absolutely critical for keeping your body's engine running perfectly. All right, let's dive into the big three macronutrients. These are the real superstars of your diet, the power players that give you energy and literally build you from the cells up. First up, we've got carbohydrates, or as you probably know them, carbs. Just think of these as the body's favorite high-octane fuel. They're the go-to energy source for pretty much everything, especially your muscles and your brain. And you can see just how important they are. When you eat carbs, your body breaks them down into glucose, which is just blood sugar. That glucose is the primary fuel for, well, everything. Your cells, your organs, your brain, it all runs on the stuff. And that's exactly why experts recommend that carbs make up a pretty big chunk of our daily calories. And you can find carbs in so many places. Yeah, the obvious ones like bread and pasta, but they're also packed into vegetables like potatoes and corn, and even in things like beans. Okay, next up, proteins. Now, if carbs are the fuel, you can think of proteins as the body's construction crew. They're made of these little things called amino acids, and their main job is to build and repair every tissue in your body. But proteins are total multitaskers. They don't just build muscle, they're also essential for making hormones and enzymes, which are kind of like the little messengers and project managers inside your body. They even provide the scaffolding for your cells, and in a pinch, they can step in as an energy source if you're running low on carbs. You often hear people talk about complete proteins. All that means is that they have all the essential amino acids. Those are the ones our bodies can't make by themselves. You'll find these complete proteins in animal-based foods like meat, fish, and eggs. But don't forget, plant-based foods like beans and nuts are also fantastic sources of protein. And that brings us to our last macronutrient, fats. You know, fats often get a bad rap, but they're absolutely vital for us. They're our body's energy savings account, they provide insulation, they cushion our organs, and they're crucial for absorbing certain vitamins. Now, the most important thing to get about fats is that they are not all created equal. You've got your good fats, like monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, which can actually help lower your risk of disease. Then you've got the bad fats, like saturated and trans fats. So it's really all about choosing the right kinds of fats to keep your body happy. And here are some perfect examples of foods that are just packed with those healthy, good fats. We're talking avocados, olive oil, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish like salmon. Getting more of these into your diet can make a huge difference. Okay, let's shift gears now and talk about micronutrients. Remember, we only need them in tiny amounts, but their impact on our health is massive. Think of them as the essential, behind-the-scenes crew that keeps the whole show running smoothly. So this slide lays out the core difference perfectly. Vitamins are organic, which just means they're made by living things, plants and animals. This also means they can be a bit fragile. Things like heat or air can break them down. Minerals, on the other hand, are inorganic. They come straight from the earth, the soil and water. They're way more stable and hold their structure. And here's a quick look at some key minerals and what they do. You've got calcium, the bone builder. Iron is your body's oxygen delivery service. Magnesium helps your nerves and muscles fire correctly. And zinc is like a superhero for your immune system. Each one has a very specific and very important job to do. Okay, so we know what these nutrients are. But how exactly do they get from that sandwich you had for lunch to actually becoming a part of you? Let's follow that incredible journey from food to fuel.
It's really this amazing three-step process. First, digestion starts breaking the food down into tiny little components. Then comes absorption, where those nutrients pass into your bloodstream. And finally, there's utilization. That's when your cells grab those nutrients from the blood and put them to work doing everything, providing energy, helping you grow, and making repairs.
And for our final section, let's talk about something that's in a lot of what we eat but isn't really a nutrient: food additives. These are the ingredients that make our food last longer, taste a certain way, or look more appealing. So what are they really? The main thing to remember about additives is that they're not really there for nutritional value. They are added to do a very specific job, whether that's keeping food safe, improving the texture, or giving it a consistent color. And you can see here just how many different jobs they have. Preservatives keep food from spoiling. Sweeteners, well, they make things sweet. Emulsifiers help ingredients that don't normally mix, like oil and water, play nicely together. Colors can make food look more appetizing, and anti-caking agents keep powders from getting all clumpy. Each one is a specific tool in the food scientist's toolkit.
And it's not just simple stuff anymore. Modern food science uses some pretty advanced tools from biotechnology. For instance, things called recombinant enzymes, which are basically custom-designed proteins made using DNA tech, are used to make everything from bread to cheese more efficiently on a huge scale. And that wraps up our tour of the science on your plate. We've covered everything from the major building blocks of your diet to the tiny additives that help create the food we eat every day. So the next time you sit down for a meal, maybe you'll see it a little differently. Knowing all of this, what will you be thinking about?